Hi everyone. Today again we have a workshop on Scratch, how to create Scratch project. And today Romy is gonna tell us how to create an animated recipe in Scratch. As you know, to be able, in order for your child to be able to use or create some projects in Scratch, go to the official website scratch.mit.com and create create an account for your child. Then he can use this program either by downloading this program or he can use the online version. Thank you very much, Ronnie, for joining today and for doing this session.
An example of a project of the type of project we'll be making is the project I'm going to show you right now. This won't be exactly what we'll be making because this is a very, very simple version of it. And we won't be making a photo collection, but we'll be making a recipe, but you can change it to however you like this project. So
we can just add different photos of recipe, right?
Yeah. We'll also be adding animations to ours, so it's more interesting than this. So here we have the type of project we'll be making, and now to create the project. So the first thing we need to do, like always, is to name our project. So I'm gonna be making and then we also, unless you're gonna be using the Scratch Cat, you could take it away. Now you can choose whatever recipe you want to make or whatever type of project you want to make. I have my recipe next to me, and so I'm going to be using that one today. So you can to get a backdrop, you can either get a backdrop from the Scratch library here, or you can just search backdrops and then you'll get some. So I can say, not backdrop, background. I can search something and then I'll get all these choices that I could choose from. So I think that because I'm making banana bread, I'm gonna get a banana bread. So I'm gonna right click it and I'm gonna press save image as, and then I'm gonna save it. You'll see that it has uploaded right here. Now to upload it on the Scratch library, we'll press here and then there's a menu pops up when you hover over the backdrop, and then we'll just upload it here from here. So it doesn't, you can see here that it doesn't fit in the full screen. So to change that, you're gonna go to bitmap, and then here, there's an option with like a mouse hovering on top of a square, and you'll drag the mouse over the full image that you had, and then you could make it bigger, smaller, or just change it however you like. So just like that. So now that we have that, we can create our sprites, which are gonna be these squares in the middle with the words on them. So the first one we have to make is the title. So we're gonna go to choose a sprite, but instead of choosing a sprite, you could always choose a sprite, and I think over here, you could always choose a sprite from the Scratch library, even though today mostly I won't be. So I'm gonna be painting it, and it's very simple to make these squares, so you don't have to choose from the Scratch library. So I'm gonna use the color yellow. And then over here, we'll go to the square here and we'll just drag it out like that. Now we can make it bigger, smaller, however we want. And then, so over here, you can see on the finished one, you can kind of choose where you want it to go. So I'm going to choose it right here. Or if you want it to be in the exact center, you're going to do X 0 and Y 0. And then should be. But I'm just going to move it a little. Right like that. And then I can add the text to it. So you could choose here the fonts, however you like it. And then drag it to the center. So the way I'm customizing it, you don't have to customize it like that, like always. And you don't have to use the same recipe, even though you can if you want this to be the exact way you make it. Here we have banana bread. And then we're going to need to make the second costume. We're going to need to make now a costume like this of all of the steps in the recipe. So if you want it to look to be the exact same, then right click it and press duplicate. And you have it right there. And you can edit the text like that too. So this could take a while if you want to do it like the way I'm doing it, which is to do like this, like one by one. But yeah, so there's a lot of different ways to get a recipe. There's a lot of different ways to make this. So some thing would be like how to make a craft, or how to make a recipe like this, or a collection of art, or a collection of photos. And there are a lot of different things that you can make. And sometimes you can even in the Scratch library, a lot of times there is there's a sprite, like for example, I'll be making banana bread, and in the Scratch sprite library, there is a banana, so it's good if you do that. So I'm just gonna be now adding all of the ingredients to the. I'm gonna be adding all of my ingredients one by one, and also it's better if you do short recipes because those don't take too long to write everything out. And it's also better if it's recipes you've done before, so that you know their work and you know they're good too. Now, to make it more interesting, at the end we'll be adding a few animations with the sprites. So that's why I said that it's best if in the Scratch library there is already a sprite that you'll be wanting to use, because you might want to use those for the animations. Otherwise, like we did for the backdrop, you can always find something on Google that you maybe will want to use. And that also could work. So because sometimes in Scratch, because if you have a lot of costumes, sometimes it may be hard to do a code for each individual one, and there are ways to make a code for all of them, for all of the costumes. So there are ways to make the code count for every single one of the costumes or every single one of the sprites. And there are ways like shortcuts to make it easier. So now I'm done with the ingredients, and now you can start with the steps. Well, the steps are mostly what need animating because those are the ones that some people, if they don't really understand it, then those are the ones that really need visuals of like how to mix it or how to pour it into a bowl. And now that's also why I said before to choose the shorter recipes, because you don't want to make too much costumes of all the steps in the Now also for the steps, make the text smaller, because sometimes the text because sometimes the paragraphs are longer than the ingredients, and so it's longer than the ingredients, so you want to be able to fit everything in a little square in the center. And there's also other ways to make recipes on scratch, like these, which so, like, for example, there are a lot simple versions, but like, for example, making this different slide, when you press space, it moves on to the next slide. So those are really easy. And but if you want to make it more interesting, then it's better if you have animations and interactive things, because that's always the ones that are the more fun and the best ones to do. So now I am on the 4th step out of 6 steps. So some steps are not exactly important in a recipe, and some ingredients are not, or it's like left over, or because some ingredients are mentioned twice, like in this recipe. So in this recipe, so for example, it said I need some extra sugar and some extra oil. So because that's already in the recipe, and I had already mentioned that, I decided not to add it again, and that's just to save space in my project, and that's so I would have to make a lot less costumes, because right now on step 4, and I already have 14 costumes. So yes, sometimes it can take a while just to get everything right now, but once we get to the code, it doesn't take as much time. And now for the last step. So now that we're done with the ingredients, if you want, you can add, now when we're done with this, if you want, at the end, you can add a little bit, you can add just the end, so that won't really change anything because the code that we'll be using will apply to every one of the costumes. So now that we have all those, we can go ahead and start with this. So we're going to start, as always, with a when flag clicked block. And then we're going to tell it what costume it needs to go to first. So we're going to say which costume to costume 1. So then when the flag is clicked, it goes to the first one. And to make the text boxes more interesting, I'm going to say to change ghost effect by 25, so then it's like a bit ghosts, then it's like a bit clear, and then you can see the picture in the background more clearly, and it also just makes it a bit more interesting. There's also a color effect, change color effect, and that just changes it to a different color. There's the fisheye, and there's the whirl, and then there's also the pixelate and the mosaic, and last but not least, the brightness. For these kind of things, I find the ghost one is the one I like the best, so that's the one I used. So now that we've done that, we're going to tell it to, we're going to go to the motion area, and we're going to tell it to go to the exact spot it is right now. That's where it needs to be at the beginning, because the middle block will move around. So it's important for it to know where it needs to go at the beginning. Now we're gonna go to the events, and we're gonna take a when space key pressed. So we're gonna tell it now when space key pressed. To know where it needs to go, we're gonna tell it drag your banana bread sideways as far as you can go, like that. Just drag it little by little, and do that as far as we can go. But sometimes it may bounce back, but then if you try again, then it works sometimes. So that's the farthest I think I can go, and we're going to tell it to glide 1 second to that position. After it glides there, it's going to hide. It's going to go to on the other side. How do we know? Now we're going to take it over back to the other side. Going to go back to the middle. Then we'll move it all the way to the other side, as far as we can go once again. And then we'll take that one, and we'll tell it to go there once it hides. Then it can show, and then it's going to glide 1 second back to the center. So that may seem like a bit confusing, but the effect is really cool. So what happens is when I press the space key, it just does that. It just does that. But nothing special happens. It's still the same thing. Nothing happens. So when it hides, when the one thing we forgot is to switch its costume, it's going to go to the next costume. It's going to hide, next costume, and then go to this. So press space, and it moves on to the next costume, just like that. And you could just go one by one, and that makes it a lot more fun and easy. So we have that. That's also why I said to switch costume to costume 1 at the very, very beginning. So now that doesn't seem very interesting, because it's just moving around all those. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a bit of animations. And how we're going to do that. So we're going to go to, if you want to animate on the backdrop, then, and if you want to animate on the backdrop, it's best if you add your animations in like the corners or the edges of the of your project, so like around here. But you can also animate on the costume, the sprite. So but that is sometimes a bit harder to do, because then you'll have to create a whole different sprite. So I'm gonna be animating on the backdrop, and the way I'll be doing that is, sometimes you can find out the scratch on the sprite library. So I'm gonna, I'm gonna upload here. I'm gonna find a banana PNG. And then, once I find a banana, I'm gonna save image as. And then it's saved down here. But I know that now this is not a PNG, because in order for it to be a PNG at the end, it's gonna need to be .png. So I'm gonna try to save this one instead. And I know that one's a PNG because it has a .png at the end. Now I'm gonna also find a bread. So usually the PNGs, they'll have like those square things in the backdrop. You can see those like gray squares, but you always need to double check if it's a PNG or not, otherwise it won't work for this. So I know this is a PNG because it's .png. So now that I have everything I need for my animation, I'm going to add to my backdrop. I'm gonna upload something really quickly. I'm gonna upload the banana that I had. And I'm also gonna upload the bread that I had. Now those are two separate costumes, and just to make it a bit better, we're gonna take our eraser here, and you can even make it bigger here. We're gonna erase those extra little background squares that are here, because we don't need them to show up on your project board. And then if you make a mistake, you can press Control-Z, and then you can undo it. Or you can click on these arrows back here, which will also undo and redo whatever you did. And those do help fix a lot of mistakes. So the smaller your eraser size is, the easier it is to erase out the backdrop, because the bigger it is, the better chance it is that because of how big your brush is, you'll accidentally erase some of the sprite itself, which you don't want. So now I have this red. I'm gonna use our mouse that we used at the very beginning, if you remember, for the backdrop, for the banana bread backdrop, and we'll take that and we'll make it smaller. So we're gonna just put this around it, and then we're just gonna make it like tiny, and we're gonna try to make it fit here in the corner, and we'll see how well that fits. So it fits pretty well in my opinion. And then I'm just gonna go copy here. There's gonna be a button. We're gonna go to our banana here, and we're gonna paste it. So then it just shows up at the top, right over here, like we want it to. Now I could see I needed it to be a bit smaller, but that doesn't matter now. What I can do for that is I'll just move our sprite here. That also means I'll have to change my code here to 42. So keep that in mind, that if you're gonna move any of your sprites, that also means that you'll have to. It also means that you'll have to change some of the code or all that stuff. So now we're gonna go to the backdrop, and we're gonna do the exact same thing for our banana here. So we're gonna take our eraser, and I can make this a bit bigger for like the outside. And we're gonna erase all those extra here, all the extra that we in a picture that we don't need. And now we're gonna make our eraser size smaller because we're getting closer to that to the picture itself. Now this works not only with this picture, works with all pictures. So now you can just erase everything you don't need. But even though it may seem like you can't see it that well, once you're in the backdrop itself, you could see with the bread there was a few extra whites around the edges, and it does really show in the picture because it really stands out against the backdrop that was there itself. We're gonna do this like last time and make it really small and fit it into the bottom corner this time, not at the top. And then we're gonna copy, come here, and we're just gonna paste it. So then we have banana bread here. And now we're gonna delete these. So then we're just left with this one backdrop. And the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna oh no. Upload our banana backdrop again. So I accidentally deleted the banana and the bread. So I'm gonna just upload the banana bread here again. And I'm just going to really quickly show what I did before. So I'm going to upload our banana, and I'm going to now, when I erase it, I'm going to erase it just like that. Well, we are going to erase it the same way, but there will be a bit of a change because for animation, there's the different, there's like an animation. You take a few scenes with tiny differences, and then in the end you put them together and they look like they're coming all together, and it looks very realistic. This animation won't be exactly realistic like that, but it will still be cool. So we're going to make it smaller here. This time we're going to put it in the top corner right there. And when we copy it this time, we're going to paste it to the second banana here. And now we're going to delete that one. And we're going to upload our bread now. And once again, we're just going to erase all the excess stuff from the outside, and it's pretty easy if you do it like fast enough, or if you just know how to do it well enough. And once again, I'm going to make it smaller. Put it in the bottom. See, I need to make it a little bit even smaller. And I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go to the second banana and I'm going to paste it. So now, why did we make two different ones? Why do we make two different ones? Because we're going to animate them. So we're going to say when flag clicked, switch backdrop to the first one. And then we're going to tell it to wait 1 second. And then it's going to switch the backdrop to the second backdrop that we have. So then when we press it, I have to edit it. Let's click here. So that then when I press it, it changes between the backdrop to make it look like it's animating. But remember, put the forever block on there so that it doesn't only do it once, but it does it forever. And now to make it just a little more interesting, I think it's missing something. Like always, we're going to add some backdrop sounds. So we're going to go to our sounds here. And if you have any sounds in your sound library, you can upload them. Or if you have or if you just have any or if you like, you can always search up so I'm going to use this one. So you could search up some music and then download music, and then you could put it on here. So just to make it easier to find music, and then I'm going to go to when flag clicked, and at the beginning, and I'm going to add to the forever place sound. I'm going to do again, I'm going to add another when flag click. We're going to say forever once again, because if I were to add it inside the forever block with that, it would repeat over. It's also just more comfortable for me to do it this way. And I'm going to say play sound music until it does. Now this happens. And so this is how the project turns out. Well, it's very long, so I won't be able to go through everything on here. But that's the project. So, bye.